Okay, this is Daniel with the Solar Doctors, and I want to talk a little bit about how solar mounts on your roof. A very common concern I have from people that have gone or want to go solar um, are concerned about the system, the array attaching to your roof and causing leaks. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, "You're not poking holes in my brand new roof." And another problem that I've run into is improperly installed flashings or mounting systems that do leak and cause a lot of damage. So I'm going to go over the different types that are out there, and this is going to be kind of a generic overview of all the different types. Um, and I'm going to talk about the ones that I've seen leak. I'm going to talk about the ones that I think have worked pretty well. I'm going to give you my opinion on the longevity of all of these. Now, I'm sure, for sure, that if anybody in any of these industries that uses any of these products that I don't want to say dog on, but don't recommend really, they're emphatically going to say, well, you just have to install it right. Of course, you have to install all of these things right. I'm just going to tell you what I see out in the field, the real world experience as I fix these systems, um, and what actually happens out there. So, first and foremost, let's talk about holes in your roof. Um, Understand that holes in your roof aren't bad. Your roof right now is full of holes. There's at least 40 to 60, 80,000 little nail holes all through your roof. There's a hole for each and every one of those pipes. Depending on what kind of ventilation you have, it's either going to be that ridge cap. That is one giant hole going all along the top of your entire roof. Or those turtle vents. These are also holes, dryer vents. So, what's the point? The point is your roof is full of holes already. Holes in roofs aren't bad. As a matter of fact, they're vital for ventilation. Holes that leak, those are the things that are bad for your roof. That's your roof's job, is to keep the weather and the elements out. So it's very important that you use the right equipment and have a good understanding of what people are using out there to mount these solar systems to roofs. I inspected roofs for 3 years before I got into solar, and so I'm very familiar with roofs. And honestly, in my opinion, um, some of these products that I'm going to show you today, that is 100% going to be the most leak proof part of your entire roof. So there's two basic styles of solar mounts to roofs. You have what's known as kind of this flashing style. Now, I'm a big fan of flashings because a flashing actually goes up underneath a shingle, and the water runs down the roof, and this part actually sticks underneath a shingle. I'll demonstrate that. So this here is an example of a roof. This flashing here would go up under the shingle. I have a little pre-drilled hole here. So this flashing would go up under the shingle. This would have a foot that goes over that rubber grommet. And then this lag bolt, which also has a rubber grommet, would go through the entire thing, and that would bolt onto a rafter, into a rafter. It's very strong. It's your If they mount it right, it is the strongest part of your roof. I mean, a lot of these things are rated well north of 130, 140 miles an hour. So, the only thing I don't like about flashings that rely on rubber is for sealing is rubber fails over time. When I was inspecting roofs, one of the most common fail points were those pipe boots. You got the pipe sticking out that releases sewer gas, and they have a rubber grommet that surrounds that pipe. Well, over time, that would crack. Now, understand the proper way to install these flashings is indeed to seal around the entire area with silicone. So not only does the water run down, it has it can't come in from the sides either. Let's say we have some gale force winds, or let's pretend we get a little ice dam somewhere and water builds up. It would have to protrude through the sides, go through the silicones. It's not going to come this way because this part's waterproof. And this is why you can have 40, 60,000 holes in your roof, little nail holes, and they don't leak because they are behind and under shingles. So I'm a big fan of the flashing system as far as the longevity of it. I'm not a fan of these flashings that are relying purely on rubber grommets, washers. And things like that to seal. We can see on this guy here, you got that little rubber piece. Got that little rubber piece right here. 25 years from now, I'd be rather shocked if that is still, what's the term? Lipid? I don't know. The other style that we'll see out there are these feet. Now, these feet, how they work is, and there's a lot of variations of these things. Some of them are flat on the bottom, have almost what looks like one of those sticky mouse traps underneath that has this material that it goes onto the roof and seals, and then you run a bolt through it. All right, so that's how this guy would look. You would take your caulking gun and insert to seal it here into this hole. It would actually fill the entire base of this thing and leak out these little weep holes. That's when you know this particular product has a full silicone foot, and it's pretty dang leak proof at that point, because number one, it has to go through this little rubber barrier. Now, when the silicone gets introduced into this particular foot, it comes in here, comes out, and there's two little metal ears here. So it comes out, it fills this entire thing around the bolt, and then it's going to go out to these edges and have to work its way up to get to this weep hole. So the whole base of this thing and this rubber is just one big giant seal. All right. So I haven't had these leak yet. Haven't had to replace any that have leaked. But what's that going to look like 25 years from now? So, again, I'm not a big fan of things that are relying necessarily purely on rubber and silicones to provide long-lasting, extended leak protection. This leads me to my favorite one. Well, I'll cover this one too. This is not my favorite one. I haven't had these leak either, but again, this is a Unirac system to where it actually relies on this rubber grommet here, and seal around it if you can. Relies on the rubber grommet making contact, and then the force of the bolt holding this thing down to provide leak proof. And again, it's a bunch of rubber. Installed properly, for sure, extremely leak proof. But there's that problem with time again. Leads me to my favorite type. I'm not paid by these guys. These are the ones that I like to use for new installs. Also, if I take some panels off, put them back on old installs, I do offer this as an upgrade for that. But this is the Iron Ridge Flash Foot 2. How this works is this is all machined, one machined piece of metal. There's not a gap here at all. So, and what this is this is the same flashing type system. We got a good inch tall raise here, and then the bolt with the same rubber grommet goes through. This bolt goes through and is torqued, so that's tight, and then this footing that attaches to the rest of your system is then snapped on. So that is the Iron Ridge Flash Foot 2. Big fan, not just because it looks cool, but imagine sealant all around here. We install this as a nice wide area, so that water is going to have to travel pretty far to get to the side and work its way through the sealant. All right. Bolt that puppy on there. And then finally, we'll move the mic. Boom. That is nice, durable, strong flashing. So I'm a fan. So again, I'm not paid by any of these folks. I'm just telling you what I see out in the field and what I would personally recommend. A lot of the solar companies out there don't use those Flash Foot 2s. The good ones do. A lot of them don't because they're more expensive. And so, I don't know. If you're ever getting solar, by all means, talk to us. I know it's durable. I know it doesn't leak. I know it doesn't break. I can steer you to the right place. But also, if you are getting a solar consultation, that's a very valid question to ask. Hey, what kind of mountings or flashings are you using to secure my system to the roof? Because after all, you don't want to take these panels down and put them back up because this thing is leaking. Unfortunately, that is a big part of my business, is taking care of those folks, and it's not necessarily a cheap process to do. So again, Daniel with the Solar Doctors, talking about flashings, roofs, and good leak-proof mountings for solar systems. And that's all for now.